Welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophia, pilot into the universe for Chinese. Let's continue unpacking some classical China eras. And in this month, we're actually focusing on Taoism, the concept from Taoism. Ting is not exactly strictly Taoism, but somehow, after my discussion with ChatGPT, it regards it as falling into the category of Taoism. And I guess the reason why is because there's Tianting, because Taoism have this imagination of projecting human societal structure onto the divinity. So just like a Greek mythology, these god and goddesses live on Olympus mountain, and they would have a certain hierarchy, right? Who is a king and queen over there, and different power structure. Over here, the Taoism also have this imagined divine social hierarchy over there. Isn't that interesting? Because according to Christianity, it seems like everybody would be equal when if you get admitted to heaven, right? Rich and poor end up in the same place, and once they get there, it's flattened. Like there's no social stratification anymore. But no, that's not the Chinese version of afterlife. Okay, so Ting, how that was expressed. The first thing notice is the structure, the frame of it. Simplified, traditional, the same. 2,000 years ago, Chen Dictionary give us a little bit more clue. This top left corner with one chimney on the top. So if you know, Chinese often express private space with this nian concept, which is a dome with a tip on the top. That is shelter, like a fully covered domestic space that's in all directions besides the ground. Ground we don't need to cover, but all the other directions, you have a roof over the head, but the walls are separating you as well. So it's completely private space. Here you see we're missing one side of the wall. The reason why is it's semi-private, semi-public space. Isn't that interesting? That actually in Chinese ancient architecture layout, there is such semi-private concept. The reason why is this is, I guess, in today's English concept, closest to courtyard. So in private household, it's multi-generational, and because it's a big family, right? So you have, the oldest, like a grandpa or even great grandpa, grandparents. I mean, then you have these branches feathering out. It's like a big family tree still rooted together, different branches, but they live together. If they choose to stay under the same roof, so to speak, that would be a little bit too much, right? So there is this breathing room that is a courtyard in the middle of this household. So the wall of this household unit, what facing outside, would be enclosed. It's almost like an apartment complex. It's enclosed, but in the middle of it, there is a courtyard, and it's roof open. So you have some sunlight in there if you want. You have this inviting nature to be part of your everyday scene. You're not totally excluding, and also from the practical reason as well, right? You don't want to before electricity, you don't want the middle part tend to be the darkest, right? So what do? You cut it open and leave it outside. So therefore, we have this we have this half dome because it's a semi-public / private. Okay. And the chimney on the top simply signifies we have humans living in there. It's a human habitat with cooking involved. Okay. Then this is a side view human figure. So it turned out that Chinese human is a leftward facing profile view human. The back is on the right side. The front of the body is facing toward the left. Left facing is Chinese forward facing. So when we see this figure, it's a flattened because it's put on top of something else. So vertical space got squashed. So it looks more horizontal. But this structurally is still, this is the front, This is the back. And you have the person stand on top of soil. We just covered the soil a few exos ago. So I'm not going to repeat that. So person on top of soil. And we have the left side. That looks very, very complicated. It turned out that this is not that complicated. This came from a basic concept of walking. And that structure got eventually connected and morphed into this weird shape. It's even hard to analyze what that is. It looks like a side view of a sofa, but it's not like. It's the left side of footstep of the concept of 行, this walking sign. And because when you walk, humans, we have to walk with 2 feet, right? So we have the left side footstep and right side footstep. And when we know that's a default, we don't need to take both sides in. We just keep the left side. And when you keep that, you know you're walking. You don't have to show both sides of footprints. And that left side originally is just 3 strokes like that. And eventually, in this case, when it's combined in there and when the dictionary compiler or editor put it together, it morphed into this. And so it's about walking this person on top of soil in this semi-public private space. And that in the household architecture perspective, that's the courtyard. That's the middle part of this living quarters that's open to the outside. You have fresh air. You may even grow trees in there. You have a little courtyard, right? Little garden. And you may even have pathways or walks that you put stone in there. So it's not so messy, not like you are standing on top of soil and bring mud everywhere. You could do however you want to domesticate that nature part, but you do open up to facing nature. You have sunlight directly into there, and also between the household. It's almost like public square within this household, right? Because it's a semi-private. The outside of this household, they don't see that. But within the house, between the smaller units of families and branches, different knots of the family, different generations, then you can still share that space as this public within the household space. So that's courtyard. So from that courtyard, original concept, we have 天庭, as I said, this Taoism imagined divine social structure. That's almost like what's earthly royal palace would look like. So that's like projecting our human world onto this imagined divine world. And that's kind of equivalent to the Western concept of heaven, because it's a divinity, it's immortals living in there. So I guess abundance is their thing. But they do have hierarchy. And I guess, I don't know, maybe in heaven there's hierarchy as well, right? Because God is above everything else, everybody else. Then there are, is it called archangels, like the major angels and the smaller angels, and angels serving different functions? I don't know. But it seems like, yeah, probably heaven in all human imagined heaven would have some human projection there. All right, 朝廷, morning court. Okay, whose court is that? Who would have morning court? It turned out that from, I guess, early on of the emperors, that is set as a rule that when the emperors hold group meetings, so kind of their work session, people report to them, the cabinets of the emperor, when they try to debate or come study, investigate something, debate about something, that session was almost always held in the morning. So that in the afternoon, the emperor can do more reading, researching, talking, or simply go have fun. Apparently, emperors in China back then work only half days. Anyways, it shows 朝廷. When we see that, because of such habit in the calendar, it's 朝. It's always associated to the royalty, the royal. So it's a royal court. 法庭 legal court. Okay, 法 that means like okay in ancient times, if you have nothing to do with the ruling class, if it's civil cases, you against your neighbor, and then you go to this legal court. Of course, there is a local legal court, and that's equivalent to today's courtroom. So there are different semi-public private space. Either it's located in heaven or in the palace, or in your local government. All of them share the exactly same. Wait, I just realized here. Okay, here this 朝廷 took out the frame, but I bet in history the two, this ting and this ting, they can sometimes interchange. So they sound the same, they're just missing that part. And things like that can easily happen over time. But all of them share the same courtyard from the household imagery applied to different situations. And then we create either heaven or royal court or courtroom. Okay, so here is what I guess ideal court would look like. So it's still like the outside is still walled, and there may be layers of court, and depends on, I guess, inside the household is also a hierarchy. So some people may or may not be able to enter somewhere, right? So there are certain different levels of privacy and distance in there. So you can see even within this household, you still have walls, still have some privacy, but there is some connection part. And there's a between walls, you definitely have nature in there. You have your private garden in there, and that's the origin of team. Thank you for your time. See you another day.